Be live, yeah. Okay, yo guys, it's a new day, it's a new week. Today is a great day. Everyone is kicking, everyone is alive, and I appreciate that. Thank God. Okay, so today we will be doing the part three of our WhatsApp clone development, right? So if you are new to this channel, if you are new to this session, go back into the channel, go back into the playlist. You'll see the part one, the part two of the previous implementations. So this whole exercise is to learn Flutter, is to understand how to translate UI designs, is to understand how to translate images or just JPEG images into a functional mobile applications, right? So we are using Flutter, and any implementation that we do, we normally talk about the widgets, we normally talk about why we are implementing it this way. So this whole session is very educative. So if you are new here and you don't want to miss out on upcoming sessions, make sure you subscribe to the channel, you comment, you like, and share with your friends for tips, for short videos, for videos on widgets, for videos on implementations, for videos on tips in and techniques in Flutter. Don't forget to go back into the channel, check the video session, and you'll find a lot of them. All right. Without too much talks, without talking too much, let's get into the implementation. Okay. So if you've been following this exercise, for the previous development or from the start, we started by developing a WhatsApp interface, right? We decided to develop the whole WhatsApp application in Flutter, and then this exercise is just to teach or to have a practical feel of how it is to develop an app using Flutter, and also just looking at by just looking at a UI or an image. So right here we have our design, and in the previous section, the very first episode, the episode one of this section, we've set out the foundation. That is by creating the screens, that is by creating the app bar and everything. And in the second section, we started the implementation of the UI for the chat screen, right? So this session, this new part, will be a continuation of the implementation, right? So in this new section, we will focus on designing this part. Let me change the color. Let me change the color. So yeah. So in this new session, we will focus on developing the body of the chat screen, right? So we'll be developing all this in the chat screen. Yeah. So if you are lost, just as I've said already, go back and refer to the previous sessions, come here, and let's all be on the same line. But if you've been following from day one, then I would want us to jump into development. So from this UI, we will be focusing on first developing this. So the first thing we'll do is to develop the chart row. So every single chart is just a row that is in a list or has been put in a list. So it's like a growable list where when there's a new chart, it just adds to the list and then continues like that until the last one. So we will focus on developing or designing this, and then we will duplicate it for the rest of the items, right? So let's go into development. All right. So So right here is IDE. IDE, the app is already running, but we can just rerun it, then make sure everything is working, and then we jump into development. If you are new to this channel, please support the channel by subscribing, liking the videos, commenting, and sharing with your friends. It means a lot to me, right? It means a lot to me. So please, let's support each other. Thank you. So the app is running, and we've started this screen. We are developing this chat screen, and we've started by developing the app bar. The app bar which contains the the app bar contains. So this is the app bar which contains this elements, as you can see on the emulator on the mobile. And then we also develop the search bar, which is also another element that comes with this body. So that is what we've done already, and we'll just be continuing from there. So we have our app bar, we have our search bar, and then we have the body, which is a circular scroll view. So inside the body, we have the categories where we have all unread, all messages, unread messages, groups, and all that. We've created a dummy data to represent that, which you can see on the screen. And then from there, we can now proceed to the next stage. So after having this, we want to maintain a consistent spacing between our elements. So we'll just copy and paste the sizing, the vertical spacing, and then from there we'll start by creating our chat role. Right, so let's start. Let's look at it closely. We first have a role. Yeah, so we first have a role, and then that role is divided into three sections, two sections, right? So we first have this section, which is another role inside the main role, which have the image, and then that's the user profile, and also have a column which holds the name of the user and then the message. Then we have this other part, which is the second part of the main role, that has a column which holds the message, the unread message. Yeah. Okay. So let's go. So first we have a row. So we have a row. All right. All right. So we have a row, and then our row has children. And then for the children, we have to do the first element, which is the user profile. So we use a circular avatar. We use a circle avatar, right, to represent that. And then we know that this role contain data elements. But what I want us to do is okay, so we have the first part of the role, which is the circle avatar section, the username, and then the user's profile. So we have the user's profile. After that, we have a column which holds children, and then that column has a text which has the username, and then another text which has the user profile, right? So let's look if we have already defined a text, or just copy paste and then edit it. Yeah, sometimes you just don't have to code too much. We normally refer to what you've already written, then take it from there. So where did I leave some text? Where are the texts? Check this site. There should be text somewhere. Okay. So let's pick this. So we have this. So we have a text with the color being black and bold. So the text color is black. The font weight is bold. And then for the text name, this is just a dummy data we are going to use. So we will use uh, John. No, let's use Samuel. Samuel Income. So let's use a name like this to represent our first text, and then we'll have another text that comes. So this is the username, and then we have the message. The message should be like, we are live on YouTube. So assuming this is our message, the message will be boldened. So let's run this and see what we got. So as you can see, we have our items on the screen, we have the message, we have username, and then we have message, right? And then the user profile. So let's align the column items to the start of the screen. So let's align those items to start so that the name and then the message will begin from the start. And also let's put a space. Yeah, let's put a space between the avatar and then the user name and then the profile. So we have custom size, sorry, we have size box, which will have a width of 8.0, right? So let's run that and see what we got. Yeah, so as you can see, we have our user profile and then the username in line. So we can do similar thing for the time and then the message. Okay, so this is the first big row, and then have this, which should take the time the message was sent and then the message, right? So say the time it was sent and then the count. Yeah, time and then count. So let's design that. So let's say the time is 10:47. Remember, we are trying to keep everything as basic as possible. So you are likely to see a lot of dummy inputs or dummy data here. If you are designing in a production environment, then you can go deeper. Or if you are designing and then getting the data from a back end, then you can decide to use those data from the back end. But currently, every text or anything we design is on the front end. We are keeping it simple. We don't want to go deep into back end and all those things. Yeah. So we have our time here. And then we also have our count, right? The message count. So we can say he left 3 unread messages, right? And for this message, let's see what is there. Okay, the time is green. The time has a color of the base color. I could have just design or create an asset, a class that's a constant class to hold those colors. But that is there for another day. So currently we do everything manually. Yeah. So we have our time. Let's say the time is this. All right, then let's run it and see. All right, as you can see, we have something that we will then align this elements to the end in the column, and then afterwards in the row we will align them to we'll put a space in between. So in the row we are putting a space in between this column and then this row. Yeah. Let me increase the font. So we have font, then we'll set it to 16. Yeah. Yeah, so we want to put a space in between this, the first row, which contains the user profile and then the username and the message, and then the next row or the next item that contains the timestamp and then the message count, right? So to do that, we'll go to the parent row and then we'll set the main axis alignment should be space between, right? So in rows, we have main axis and cross axis, right? So if you're dealing with rows, main axis are in horizontal layout. So if you call the main axis of a row, you are talking about the horizontal layout. So this code is just saying that for the horizontal layout for the items on the main axis, separate them or put a space between each of them. So this particular method or this particular call will put a space in between the elements where one will be at the start and one will be at the end. If there are 3 or there are more than 3, it will make sure The first one is at the start, the last one is at the end, and the rest have an even space between them, right? So that is what we are doing. So let's run this and check if it has reflected. Yeah. So as you can see, it looks like we are almost done with, with the implementation. Yeah. So let's go back to the design and see what we have. So the count is in a circle, right? So the count is in a circle. That's what we are going to do right now. So we are going to put this text in a padding, which we can decide to just put it in a circle avatar to have the circle around it. Yeah, so we can decide to do it this way. And then the circle avatar, the background color will then be this. The background color will then be the base color or the primary color of the app, and then the text color will be white. All right, so let's run that and see what we got. Yeah, so you can see what we've got. We just have to reduce the size or the radius of the circular avatar, then we are good to go, right? Yeah, so we can just say radius and give it 24. Let's see what will happen. Okay, 24 is too big, so let's limit it to 16 and see what we got. Yeah, so let's confirm if we are on track. Okay, seems like we are on track here. Yeah? Okay, so font size shouldn't be so big. All right, that's cool. And then when we say we have a screen almost done with, so that is for that. And then the next thing we'll do is to design the profile section. For the profile, I think we should use an image. Should we use an image? I think so. But for now, let's just hold it this way. So we have our text. Let's see how this looks. So our text is not black, it's rather gray. So this text is of a gray color. So our text is of a gray color. And then let's set the user. Let's create a So what we are creating right now, this particular widgets or layout is for unread messages, right? We would have to create one for read messages. We would have to create one for, I think, yeah. Yeah, so we create one for unread messages and then we create one for uh, sent messages, right? So received messages and then sent messages. I wouldn't want us to do too much. So we wouldn't be creating for stickers, we wouldn't be creating for GIFs, we only create for the sent messages and received messages. Yeah. So let's create a profile and try add the round green cycle to show if there's a real profile update or if that user has added a new status update. So let's do that. Let's create a cycle around. Let's go to cycle avatar. Inside our cycle avatar, we have a container. Our container, and in this container, we have a decoration, which will then have box decoration, which will have a border radius of circular 100. That's that. And then we also do the border. So we also design the border. Which should be all. So from there we can decide the color for the border, which should be this. So let's run this and see what we have. Yeah. So I hope you can see we have the green around the edges. So we just have to increase the border width to probably 3. Yeah, so that's what we got. Let's take a look. All right, and then from there we would have our cycle avatar in a little padding to should we put it in a padding? Should it be a padding or a margin? I think, yeah. So we have it in a little padding of this. Let's confirm what we got. Is that too much? So let's put it in a padding of 2. Just to show the white and separate it from the border, right? Okay, I think that is good. I think that is good. So the next thing we do is to increase the size of our text because it's too small from the original design. It's kind of bigger. The reason why I'm not picking the text sizes and the colors from the design is because it's an image. It's just a JPEG image. It's just a screenshot that we are translating into a mobile app, right? So we assume some of the sizes, and then also when it comes to the colors, we pick it from the design, right? So sorry if I'm not showing how to pick the sizes, the font weight, and the rest from the Figma. I believe our next sessions or our upcoming designs or sessions will have a design from Figma where we can pick all the elements from there, right? Yeah, so from there, let's go into the font size. Let's give our font size 24 will be very big, but I would like to see how it looks like. So let's give it a 24. Yeah, I said it will be very big. It can only be 16. I think we can go with this. Yeah, we can go with this size. And also, I think our yeah, I think our timer, the size here is too much. So we can limit this to 12 to make it look smaller. Then we can reduce this to 12, right? All right, so this is good. This is looking good. Yeah. So we can then move on to adding images in the user's profile, right? So let's add to the user's profile. This is a circular avatar. You can have background image. Then we have image.asset. Okay, let's see what we got. So let's call image. Okay. Okay. Let me check something, right? Let's see. Yeah, okay. I think I'll look into this. I'll look into this, right? So let's just call child and just called image.asset. And then we'll assign our image from there. So let me go up here and pick an image. Let me come up here. Yeah, and pick this image. Let me come up here and pick this image, and then we'll come down here and drop it. So let's see what we got, and then we work around it. So it's looking good. Now let's go find assets that we can use to represent our images, right? So let's just search random images online, and then we can use those and to replace our assets, right? So I'm searching Google and Google. uh, let's say name images. So let's get some few images for staff, right? So let's go to free pick. We have our images loading. All right. How do we download this? How do we download this? Okay. Why is it loading so slow? Hmm. I'll just close this and then go look for local assets in my local folder. Then we can use that. So let me look through my pictures and pick some assets that we can use for to represent the images, right? Yeah, so I think we have one here that we can use. We have one here that we can use. It's in images. And then we can also pick another one. Let's have at least two of them that we can use, right? So let's pick these two. All right, the images are in my drive and it's kind of taken long to load. So I will just stick to the single one that we have. I'll just stick to the single one that we got, and then we can play around it here. So let me pick this, then replace it with this. So let's replace it with this, and then we change the reference, the directory to images. So we have access to our image, right? So we have access to our image, and then we rerun the app to see if our image will reflect. All right. So we rerun the app to check if our image will reflect. Okay. It's complaining of assets, so we would have to, instead of hot reload, we would have to run it all over. So let's stop it. Let's stop it, and then we run it again. So let's rerun and wait for the result. So we're rerunning the app to make sure the image is showing, and then we can move to designing a second view. Guys, if you watch to this section, if you watch to this time or this part of the video and you haven't subscribed, you haven't liked, you haven't commented, or you haven't shared the video, I would please plead with you to like it. If you've already subscribed, like it, put a comment in the comment section and share it. If you are new to the channel, you subscribe, you share, you like, and comment, right? Let's support the channel. Let's support the channel. Let's support the channel, all right? Yeah. And I know you will do it. You're a good person, so yeah. All right. So our Flutter, our app is loading, still running. We just have to give it a little time for it to run. Yeah. Let's give it a little time for it to load and run, and then we can get into the next phase. So our app is running. It's still loading. Gradle is building, so let's give it time. Let's give it some time to fully build, and then we jump into the development. Yeah. All we want to see right now is for our image to reflect, and then we just duplicate the designs, and yeah, and then that's all that. For the chat screen is not so difficult compared to the foundation, which is the navigation bar, setting all those things, trying to get things in place. It was so difficult, but little by little, step by step, design by design, phase by phase, we are able to push through. Yeah, so that's the sweet part of development, right? You face an error, you face a problem, you tackle it, you navigate around it, you brainstorm the problem, and then finally you solve it. And that's the best part of designing. Okay, so our Gradle is still loading. At this point, we only have to be patient and wait for it to load. Yeah, this is code with Setcho. On Code Researcher, we do the live streams. The live streams are always live sessions where we want to have that feel, we want to have that kind of connection with the fans or my followers, my subscribers, or my other developers from anywhere, developers like you, developers like me. The live sessions are for us to come together, learn together, build softwares, build apps, understand our framework, and also learn from each other, right? So that's all about the sessions. And then on weekdays, on normal days, we just post videos, not more than 30 minutes, just short videos to explain certain widgets in Flutter, to explain certain techniques in mobile development, and explain just everything software development, right? So you can go through my channel, see the videos in there, like them, watch them. If you are okay, if it solves your problem, if the video tackles any issues, or if you learn anything from them, you like it, you comment down there, and then you share. Support the channel by subscribing. Yeah. So we're still waiting for Flutter or Gradle to stop building and then install the app. That's what we are doing. Yeah. Our app is building. Our app is building. So I'm currently working on something like this. If we are done with that, we just come design something like this for our messages, sent messages. These are for received messages, right? So we just design that, we implement them. Afterwards, we design this floating action bar, and then that's that. We are done. Then we'll be done with the chat screen and continue with the rest of the screens in the upcoming sessions, right? Yeah. So stick around, don't go anywhere. So our Gradle is still running. Our Gradle is taking forever to load. If you are a Flutter developer, then you would have this, you understand this, like you know how it is to wait for Gradle to load. It takes forever. Yeah. So Gradle is finally done building the app. Gradle is finally done building the app. We just have to confirm and then confirm if it is running. So we can see our image in there. You can see our image in there. Now we have to make the image cover the circle. We have to make the image cover the parent, which is done this way. So we just call the fix property and then say cover. So let's see what we got. Does it cover the parent? Okay. If it hasn't, then we would have to change this into a container. Then give it a decoration. Give it a box decoration. And give it a border radius to make it circular. So let's see. Oh, that's huge. That is huge. All right, so we just have to set the image height. Just have to set the image height to make it sit in the circle. And then we set the width as well to make it sit. Yeah, now from here, we can surround this image in a clip. We can clip the edges of the image. So we set the border radius for this. Wait. Okay. So let's give it this radius. Run and see what we got. Yeah. So as you can see, we now have our image, our profile icon, our message, the username, the time the message was sent, and then the count, right? And then the count. So currently that's what we have. And we would like to duplicate this into about 6, 7, or 12 elements so that it will cover the whole screen. But before then, let's also design the sent message. So this is for received message. If you receive a message, this is what you got. Then let's design when you send a message. So let's design when you send a message. Oh. So let's design when you send a message. you have the ticks, and then you have what you don't have the unread, so you can take away the counts, you can take away this and take this away. So let's see what we have. Yeah, so you have that, and then the time is gray, so we now change the times color to gray. So we have this, and let's just say it was sent around the 03:12 a.m. Yeah. And then after that, what do we have next? We edit. We edit the name. So let's go up, then change the name to something else. We're gonna call it J. We can call it J. Or you can say join the live this Sunday. So that will be our message. So yeah, we have this, and we refresh. Yeah, so now we have to set the read and unread. So for that, with this text, we would have a row. We would have a row, and then let's go find the icon. Is it there? Okay. Let's go find the read and unread icons. Let's find read and unread icons. So if we come here, we should have our icons, right? So we should have our icon, and then we export it in the largest format. Okay. So export. So we export. Now we have to locate our icon. we have to locate our icon and put it in the icons folder. So let me go find the icon so we can drop it in our icon folder and then move. Okay, let's call it check icon. Okay, and we can move it to icons. Yeah. So we should now have our check icon. And then it's just an asset. So we can go up here and pick this. Okay, let's not. You can come in here and come pick this. Right? We can pick our image icon. Then we pick our assets locations because I don't want us to do too much. So wait, let's drop this. Let's drop this. And then let's drop the asset in addition, right? So let's drop the asset in addition. So we just change this with icons, and then we call this the check icon here. So we call it check icon dot png. All right, so let's run this and see what we got. Yeah, so we have our check icon. We just have to change the size. We just have to change the size to 16. Yeah, so we just have to change the size, and then we can also change the color, which I can then pick from here. Of course, there's a color here, so I can just come and pick this. Let me see. Yeah, so I can just pick this color, then we replace it with this. Yeah. So let's see. All right, so our red icon is showing. Now we have the two. We can decide to now change this profile. We can decide to change the profile, or we can decide to take it off. But let's just make one gray, as if we've seen it already. Yeah. So let me let's just remove one, which will be this. Let's take this away. Let's rerun this and see. Okay. So let's rerun this and see. Okay, so with that, we would have to take off padding. So let's run that and see. I think we have to increase the size rather. So let's increase the size rather. All right. Oh, yeah. So I think this is cool. So now we have the two elements. We have the one for read and then the one for unread messages. Yeah. So I don't want us to do much. We can equally just duplicate this to get more of it, or we can create. No, let's not go into creating classes to do that. So let's just duplicate it to get more of it, and then we can move into designing our floating action bar, right? So we will call a column to design to duplicate them. We'll call a column and we'll call it children. Then in this children, we can just do this. We can say 1, 2, 3. This is just the local items that we are generating. So we can use list.generate to give it a certain number of items that we want, and then we just generate it, right? So list.generate 25 of this, take the index, and then we open and close bracket, then we call on a column. Okay, we are returning the column, right? Returning a column that has the children of this. So let's see if we are going to have, well, 20 of this in here, right? Yeah, so let's rerun and see. Yeah, so as you can see, we have messages there, which is a lot. Yeah, we have all our messages in there, but you can see there are some things that are missing, which is the padding. Let me see. Let me check this, and now we start from top. Okay, yeah, we need it here. Space after this. Okay, so let's rerun this. Yeah, so as you can see, we have WhatsApp items in here. So the next thing we can design, is to do this, add the floating button, right? That's the next thing we will do, to add the floating button. So let's go into that. So let's say we are done. with our messages. We've designed the messages. We are done with the messages. The next thing to do here is to design the floating button, which comes with which is a property in scaffold. So we'll just call that, just call floating action button, and we can call it an icon button. Yeah, I think we can call it an icon button. And then wait, icon button. So in that icon button, we'll have our on press, then we'll have our icon, right? The icon is a child and that is a widget. So it says icon, but you can use any other widgets that you want to use. So for the icon, we can just say icon, then you say message. See if we have an icon or a message icon that we can use. Because it seems this particular one is not out there. I can't find it. So let's see. You can take this, then let me see. You can take that. Okay, so I can put the plus. It's this. This is a lot. Can we find something to represent that? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if we can find something to represent it. So we just have to put a plus on top of a green to make it look like it. Yeah. So with this, we'll just do plus. Or should I say addition? Yeah, so we have addition. Let me see. I think we have some things here that we can use to, okay, this looks almost like it. So I'm sure we can use something like, this. We can use something like this, right? So let's rerun and then see what we got. So I hope you can see it down here. This is what we got. All right. So this is what we got. So we can now go into designing it to make it look just like what we have there. Right. So let's give it a, just give it a color. Let's check the design. Okay, so we give it a white color. So we say color, and then we give it white. Okay, then we have it in a big container. A big container. I think we can equally design the icon button itself to have what I want to do with the container. So let's go with style. And then we take button style. Then we call background color. And we call where is the color? Where is the color? So we are using this as our background color. So background color, then we call widget state property 4. Then we put this there. Let's see what we got. Let's see. Okay, so this is what we have. We can design the shape of the button. So we can say widget state property the all, then rectangle, rounded rectangle. Then we can open this and call the border radius. We call circular. We call circular. Then we give it 25. Why? It's not showing. Let's give it 15. Okay. So we can give it 5. Or let's say 10. All right. So we give it 10. And then 15. And then the next thing we do is to increase the padding. Increase the padding to 24. Hope this makes it bigger. Okay, that's very big. So let's make the padding 16. Guys, is it too big? I think it's too big, yeah. So we can just reduce it to 8. Yeah. So looking at this, we can say that we've finally, in 1 hour 20 minutes, we finally achieved our design for the front end or the message section of the WhatsApp clone, right? So in this section, we've talked about single child scroll view. We've discussed something like cycle avatar. We've discussed stuff like widget state property, or we've seen a new widget like rounded rectangle border, which we normally use in the shape properties to design the shapes of widgets like buttons and all of that stuff, right? So this will be the end of the WhatsApp clone, the chat screen. The request is to design the WhatsApp screen or the WhatsApp clone. So we are done with the chat screen. We would look into developing the status or the update screen probably this week on weekends, right? So Saturday, Sunday, Saturday of this week and Sunday of next week, we are likely to be live and designing the rest of the screen. If you stick around so far to this section, I would say thank you. Thank you very much for being around or sticking around throughout the session. And I want you to subscribe if you haven't, and comment, like, and share with your friends or your fellow developers. And tell me what you think about the video, right? Tell me what you think about this session and the whole tutorial. And if you are new, and you haven't watched the previous sessions, this is the part 3. If you haven't watched the part 1, part 2, I want you to go back and watch it to understand how we managed to get to this end or to get to this part of the session, right? So I want you to do that. And then if you've already subscribed, like and comment, share with your friends. If you are new, subscribe, put on the post notification, share, comment, and like. Thank you. Thank you very much for sticking around. So, this is our final product of the 2-day sessions, yesterday and today. We've done 3 parts of this session. The part 1 being the foundation, taking care of the nav bar. The part 2 being the creation of the app bar for the chat screen. And then the part 3 being the development of the chat elements. So thank you for sticking around, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye. Bye.